Hello there, what is going on, everyone? Today we're talking about some more awesome gaming news. It's another episode of AGN. We are at episode number 3 of Awesome Gaming News, where we talk about amazing, awesome, uplifting, positive, and overall good news in the tabletop gaming community. And we are going to be covering 4 different topics today. We're going to be talking about GW and Warhammer. We're going to be talking about Dropfleet Commander. We're going to be talking about Star Wars Armada and Cyberpunk. So buckle your seatbelts. We're going to jump into this stuff. If you guys haven't already, make sure you're entered to win that $50 Amazon gift card giveaway that we're doing right now. This is worldwide, by the way. You just to enter to win, you just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. And that's going to run until Halloween, so you have plenty of time. You have the whole month to enter to win. So watch multiple videos, enter multiple times, have a good time, and check out all the rest of the awesome gaming news episodes that we've done before, and check out games of your choice with the different playlists we have on the channel. Jump in our Discord, all that other stuff. Links are all going to be down in the video description below. I want to kick things off with a game I haven't covered in a while. It's Dropfleet Commander. Now, this is a new edition. I've seen several of you mention in the comment sections and also in my Discord. I've had a lot of questions. Are you going to be covering Dropfleet Commander? Well, I'm talking about it right now. Dropfleet Commander is coming back with a vengeance. This is a game that is getting a 2nd edition, and in addition to it just being a new edition, there's also going to be a new 2-player starter. There's also going to be lots of new content available, including, with this new edition, a brand new faction. They are called the Biophisers. And there is a great overview into them that's been posted by TT Combat. You can check out their YouTube channel. You can also check out their website and get a primer on the new faction. It sounds to me a little bit like they are biological based. They're like kind of like mad scientist type, very much biologists, and they are also very much like hunters that don't really have a specific aim or a specific goal, at least not one that is known by everybody else in this giant war, and they are just in it for the combat themselves, for the TT combat, for the tabletop combat. But they are going to have a whole new fleet of ships with their own new design scheme, and so for those of you who like painting starships, which I definitely do, this is a great game system to get into if you're well, at least Dropfleet Commander 1.0 was very cool because you get to paint all of the ships and you can do any color scheme you want. I have some really cool ones. I might link some of my old Dropfleet Commander videos because I did quite a few of these. We looked at a lot of the ships. I never got to play it as much as I wanted to. It wasn't really booming here in Orlando, but maybe that'll change with 2nd edition. Who knows? It's always exciting when there's a new edition because it is usually a great opportunity for people to get into the game from the ground level, as opposed to kind of getting into an established game where you'll be a noob. You can kind of be on equal footing with a lot of other players. So if you were thinking about getting into a new spaceship game with the lack of new content for Star Wars Armada or other similar games, Dropfleet Commander 2nd edition is kicking it into high gear. So you can check out TT Combat's website, and this is supposed to be launching like in a couple of weeks, so that's also pretty cool. All right, moving on. I want to talk about Star Wars Armada a little bit because the game is not dead. There's definitely lots of people still playing. There's going to be some news possibly coming, whether it's this month or next month, from Atomic Mass Games. But in the meantime, for those of you who have collections that are or don't have that many people to play against, I do want to remind everyone that there is an AI system for Star Wars Armada. You can head over to Crabbok.com, go to the custom content chat drop down. There's an Armada AI system that works with the game. It's not a super complicated AI system either. It's a pretty simple format to follow. If you guys haven't already checked it out, you can definitely check it out. Also, by the way, for those of you who have been to Crabbok.com in the past, I used to have ads on the website. There are no ads on Crabbok.com anymore. So that entire website and all of the content that I have out there is 100% free. I make nothing from it. It actually costs me like $14 a month just to hold it up there. And that's just for you guys. So have at it. Well, that's just for hosting fees. Then there's also domain registration and all that stuff. Anyway, it's all out there. It's my gift to you all and my way to say thank you for all of the support that you guys have given me. So I took ads completely off of Crabbok.com, and that also applies to all the other game sections, all the guides, all the links, all the blog portion of it. There's a space station, a Deep Space Nine I did, which was kind of fun to mess around with stuff. There's also a Legion AI system, which is in the process of being reworked for the new edition of Star Wars Legion as well. And as we put more content, there's still possibly a Shatterpoint stuff that it's not refined refined enough yet. But there's going to be, as new stuff comes out, that's where I host it. So that's pretty cool. But also in the way of people who aren't interested in the AI for our Star Wars Armada, if you're in the Chicago area, October 12th and 13th, there's going to be a really cool tournament. It's put on by Ion Radio, and Admiral Tater has got a lot of cool stuff that is going into this tournament as well. So it's a 2-day tournament with really cool prize support, lots of promos, lots of really beautiful cards and prizes. And if it's a 2-day tournament, it's going to be a big one. I already know that Chicago has a really big wargaming community and a really big Armada community. So if you are anywhere near Chicago, try and make it a point to get out to this. It's going to be, I would imagine it's going to be a good time. I'm a little too far to make it, but I know that the folks would love to have you come out. And it'd be a great way to celebrate this wonderful game with a great community. Moving on, let's talk about Warhammer and Games Workshop and all of their games. This weekend is a big, big deal. It's Warhammer Day, the 5th of October. They're going to be dropping all of their latest announcements, and this is for all of their games. It's not just 40K. It's not just Age of Sigmar. There's going to be Horus Heresy stuff. There's going to be, I think, like Legion Imperialis and all of these games. Like just about like every game that they have, there's going to be something new for. Their theme is supposed to be heresy, I think. So I'm really excited. For those of you who know, I am covering a little bit more Age of Sigmar stuff and trying to lean a little bit more into some of the Warhammer stuff. I've had a lot of people ask me to cover it and talk about it. I'm doing what I can without having it completely overtake the channel. But it's a lot of fun. Like, they have great models, and they've made so many different types of games over the years. I know a lot of people who are playing a lot of the space games used to play Battlefleet Gothic. There were some rumors that would come back. I wonder if they'll talk about that. This will be a really cool thing to talk about, and I'm curious what they're going to announce. Of course, I'll be paying attention for Ogre Maw tribes and seeing what new Ogre stuff is coming out of this for Age of Sigmar, as well as Skaven, which are one of the coolest factions that have had a lot of new life breathed into them, and of course the Stormcast Eternals, which are the 3 factions that I am currently playing for Age of Sigmar. But speaking of Age of Sigmar, there was a lot of news, a big balance pass and points update that just recently came out. If you are an Age of Sigmar player, if you haven't already checked this out, there's a massive tweaks and balance changes. Points were adjusted across the board, lots of points changes. These are all reflected in the app already, and there's a free PDF available from GW, which you can check them all out. There's also a lot of summary pages where they go down faction by faction, as well as the general stuff. And I'm not going to break down every single faction, but the general stuff has been pretty interesting. One of the things with the General's Handbook in this first season of Age of Sigmar 4th edition, there's these General's Regiment stuff, and there is basically they changed the Honor Guard changes to where you now are going after like just the bodyguard or the general, as opposed to just having this awesome effect versus the entire General's Regiment, which was a little too strong. So they changed that a little bit. The biggest amount of changes deals with manifestations, and if you guys only played 3rd edition, if you haven't played 4th edition yet, there were these things called endless spells where your mages can cast the spells, but the spells have their own miniatures that they're basically summons, they're manifestations that you summon, and then they go around the battlefield and wreaking havoc on people and attacking people or causing negative effects and all kinds of stuff. Well, almost every faction has their own special endless spells, but there's also quite a few universal endless spells. And the Malign Sorcery pack was hit very hard with the nerf bat because it has two of the most popular sets, schools of spells. Primarily this guy here with the jaws and then this globe up here, but they're not the only ones hit. Basically, these guys both got hit, and the biggest changes to them were that they had this kind of thing where if they were banished, they wouldn't die; they would just lose some hit points. So you couldn't just banish them instantly. They both got changed to where now they can be banished instantly. Also, banishing is a little bit easier now because the more manifestations your opponent has, the easier it is for you to banish them. You get a +1 to your banish roll for every manifestation that your enemies have beyond the first. So that's a big bonus for you trying to get rid of those manifestations, which if you were depending on running a lot of manifestations on the battlefield, it's going to make it a little bit harder for you. Also, if you are running the Purple Sun, basically the Morbid Conjurations, they also had another one that the Malevolent Maelstrom, which is one of the other purple kind of balls that it can attack, but it builds up. It's like a ticking time bomb. Now, once it hits its max number of ticks, it has to blow up at the end of that round. You can't like save it until it's in the perfect position. So now it's a lot more risky. So they made that the entire Morbid Conjurations a little bit like it was definitely the most powerful, most popular. So they nerfed it on 2 different manifestations in that school. So they tried to a lot of balance changes and plus points adjusted across the board. My ogres got some weird changes personally. It's weird because I run Kragnos, who's this god or this demigod, right? And he's like the boss of the whole multiple factions. He went down 100 points, but my other guys all went up like 25 points each. So it's like I ended up my ogre army is exactly the same cost as it was before. So it's kind of funny. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, so a lot of GW stuff has happened and is about to happen this weekend. So very cool stuff. Check out more of that. Let's talk about Cyberpunk because there is some really exciting Cyberpunk news. And I saved this for the end because it has gaming implications, but it's not specifically gaming news. But I'm including it here because, for one, it's my show and I'm a big Cyberpunk fan. And for two, there are a lot of Cyberpunk games that have been coming out and more that are getting ready to come out. And this is going to have implications for those as well. So if you guys didn't already know, if you're not Cyberpunk fans or Cyberpunk 2077 fans, there was a really, really popular and incredible anime on Netflix called Cyberpunk Edge Runners. This came out a while back. I want to say a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And Netflix has just teased that you are going to be returning to Night City, which of course is the famous huge megalopolis city of Cyberpunk 2077, all the Cyberpunk games pretty much. They are doing another anime on Netflix, and it is going to have a slightly different color scheme. Instead of kind of being like blue and yellow like Cyberpunk Edge Runners was, this one looks to be like Hulk Hogan's colors of kind of like red and yellow. So that looks to be the color scheme of this new Netflix anime that is coming out. Now, the reason that that's important is because everything that comes out for Cyberpunk ends up impacting all the Cyberpunk tabletop games. Simon had a really cool Gangs of Night City that was not as much focused on specifically Cyberpunk 2077, the video game, but it did have tons of stuff from the video game in it. However, that was made before. It didn't have any Edge Runners content in there, and it didn't have the stuff from the Phantom Liberty and the latest Cyberpunk stuff, because then that one was like it was all done at a certain time frame. Whereas the newest board game from Go On Board Games has all of that stuff in it. It's got all of the stuff from Phantom Liberty, and then it's got like realistic versions of Cyberpunk Edge Runners, so you can check all of that stuff out. Again, the later something is made, the more recent content it can get. And then you have Cyberpunk Combat Zone, which is more during the Cyberpunk Red time frame. However, they also just did a pre-order for the Cyberpunk Edge Runners anime, so they have a whole scene, and so that like that timeline is fluid and expanding. And since Cyberpunk Combat Zone is a skirmish miniatures game as opposed to the other two, which are board games, this one, it's a living game. They can just keep adding new models, new miniatures, new vehicles. They have a vehicles Kickstarter too, which I'm back in. They're always doing new stuff, and terrain, and Monster Fight Club does really cool stuff. I love Cyberpunk Combat Zone. Really cool game system. The reaction system is really cool. If you guys haven't checked that out already, definitely do that. We're going to be continuing to cover that because it's a really fun game to play. It's a really cool system, and it's very versatile. And Monster Fight Club makes so much terrain and new vehicles and new modules and new modes to support that game system. It's the kind of support you wish your favorite game could get, and Monster Fight Club is all about supporting Combat Zone. So it's very cool. And the reason I bring all the Netflix stuff up is because as new injections get pumped into the Cyberpunk universe, that means more stuff can happen. More stuff I'm sure Monster Fight Club is probably already working on. Simon, if they wanted to do another Kickstarter for Gangs of Night City, which, by the way, very cool game. I enjoy the heck out of it. One of the things I've always said is that it could have used a little more content because there's new stuff that has come out after they had already wrapped production for that, or at least design for that game. And then Go On Board, which has everything up until now has additional stuff if they want to do a round 2 of Cyberpunk 2077, the board game. So a lot of cool stuff, and of course any new Cyberpunk games, maybe a card game, maybe an LCG, maybe a deck builder, maybe new video game. Well, they are doing a whole nother video game. So a lot of cool stuff that a new Cyberpunk anime could bring to the table. And that's our awesome gaming news for October 4th. 2024, episode number 3. Stand by for the next one. We're going to be doing these. We'll typically do them on Fridays. I don't think it's going to be every Friday, but we'll try to do them. And one of the frequencies, the limiter of these type of frequencies for how often I can do awesome gaming news is how often awesome gaming news comes out. But I'll try to keep you up to date on the latest and greatest and the coolest tabletop gaming news as it comes out. As I do this show, it did remind me of once upon a time when Fantasy Flight Games, was knee deep in Armada, X-Wing, and Legion. How there was so much news. Because I had thought about doing a show like this for a long time, and I was thinking there was so much news that was coming out for a while, I couldn't keep up with it. And so I was like, wouldn't it be better to maybe just do a single summary? But we were getting multiple games. Sometimes would get like major news or spoilers or updates daily. It was ridiculous. So that's where this show comes in, as I've expanded a little bit beyond just X-Wing, Armada, and Legion to talk about other games, and there's a lot of new games on the horizon. We have some very cool stuff next week to talk about, so stay tuned. I will see you guys later. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Also, big thanks to my patrons. You guys are amazing. I will talk to you later. I want to thank you all. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. Always wash your socks and have a great day.